You're waking up groggy again, and you've got back-to-back meetings, a looming product launch, and an inbox that looks like a war zone. You grab a muffin and a sugar-filled coffee thinking, I just need a boost. And you do feel a boost until you don't. An hour later, you are crashing, mentally foggy, emotionally reacted, struggling to make decisions you normally crush in your sleep. Now, if this sounds familiar, it's because the truth is, sugar isn't just messing with your waistline, it's messing with your leadership. So in this video, I'm going to dive deep into how cutting sugar radically shifted the way that I lead, operate, and build. I'm going to walk you through the science, the brain chemistry, energy cycles, emotional regulation, and show you how all of that ties directly into sharper decision-making and better communication with your employees and with investors. This isn't about trying to be a fitness influencer, it's about showing up as a stronger and more resilient founder or CEO. Let's be real, being a founder is one of the most demanding roles out there. I'm constantly making high-stakes decisions, putting out fires, navigating investor pressure, and keeping the team aligned around a shared vision. It takes mental sharpness and emotional grit and physical endurance. And I used to sabotage my own performance without even realizing it. I'd rely on sugar as a quick fix in order to cope with stress. Now, I'm not here to judge anybody for grabbing a snack in the middle of a brutal sprint because I've done it too. But what I've discovered is this: cutting back on sugar isn't just some wellness fad. It might actually be one of the smartest leadership decisions that I have made. Okay, so how is sugar actually screwing with your leadership? So I'm gonna break down some of the sneaky ways that it hijacks your energy and focus and decision making every single day. So first up is sugar and cognitive performance, the hidden brain fog. So let's talk about the most powerful asset that you have as a founder, your brain. It's the command center. Every strategy, every investor conversation, every tough call you make, it all flows from one place, and that is your cognitive performance. Are you fueling it like a high performance machine, or are you sabotaging it without realizing it? Your brain runs on glucose. You probably heard that. But here's the plot twist. Not all glucose is created equal. When you reach for refined sugar, think granola bars or sodas or even the healthy juice, you're lighting a firework in your bloodstream. Quick spike, quick crash. And the crash doesn't just make you tired, it hits your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for CEO level thinking. We're talking long-term planning, strategic decisions, impulse control, and focus during high stakes meetings. So when sugar messes with that, here's what starts to show up. Mental fog. You're in the room, but you're not really there. Memory lapses, so forgetting names, missing details, or dropping the ball. Or short fuse, so overreacting to small issues, maybe regretting that Slack message that you sent. Or shaky judgment, making emotional calls instead of strategic ones. Scattered focus, so struggling to lock in for deep work or long meetings. And you might not even notice that it's happening. And these shifts don't hit you like a freight train. They creep in slowly and subtly, but they stack up. Week after week, you start losing that razor sharp edge that you have whenever you first launch. It's like trying to race a Formula One car on garbage fuel. Like, it still moves, but it's not peak performance. So cutting sugar won't turn you into an Ironman overnight, but it will give your brain a consistent, stable energy supply. The kind that sharpens your thinking and strengthens your leadership and keeps you performing like a high stakes operator that you were built to be. If this is hitting home and you're the kind of founder who wants to scale yourself up as fast as you scale your startup, hit that subscribe button. This channel is all about real talk on founder performance, leadership under pressure, and winning the inner game of entrepreneurship. Strategy, insight, no fluff. Let's get back to it. Okay, second up, we got mood swings, emotional reactivity, and team culture. So I want to get into something that most people avoid when it comes to leadership, and that is your mood. Sugar doesn't just affect your waistline or energy, it messes with your emotional state in ways that can ripple throughout your entire company. The science says that whenever your blood sugar swings wildly, spiking and crashing throughout the day, it doesn't just exhaust your body, it puts your nervous system on high alert. You feel more anxious, more irritable, more emotionally reactive, and over time that volatility creeps into your leadership. Now imagine you walk into your all hands meeting after a sugary lunch, and on the surface you're functioning, but internally your system is jittery, it's distracted, it's edgy, and that's when it happens. You read that neurofeedback as criticism. You avoid a hard conversation you know you should lead. You spiral into self-doubt during an investor call. You snap at a team member over a small mistake. Now those aren't one-off moments, they're leadership leaks. And most of the time you don't even realize sugar's behind it, but your team can feel it. When emotional volatility becomes your norm, your team picks up on it. They walk on eggshells, they hold back ideas, and trust erodes. Psychological safety disappears, and suddenly the culture you work so hard to build starts to feel brittle. But it doesn't have to be that way, because reducing your sugar intake can help stabilize your emotional baseline. It smooths out the highs and the lows, giving you a calmer and more grounded presence. You're no longer reacting, you're responding. You're not just getting through the day, you're actually leading it. The difference is noticeable. You're gonna feel more composed, more emotionally clear, and more you. And your team's gonna feel it too, in the tone of your voice and how you give feedback and how you show up during high stakes conversations. It's not about perfection, it's about consistency. And when your emotional consistency improves, your team and culture levels up with it. Now I want to talk about sleep, recovery, and strategic thinking. You already know that sleep is a non-negotiable, but what you might not realize is how much sugar interferes with it, and by extension, how it impacts your ability to lead. Now, as a founder, you're playing the long game. You're not just solving today's problems, but you're setting the course for the next 6, 12, or even 36 months. That level of thinking requires rest, and not just any rest, but high quality restorative sleep. And late day or nighttime sugar can sabotage that process. Refined sugar, when consumed during the evening, can delay sleep onset because you're wired when you should be winding down, can reduce REM sleep, the phase of sleep that's crucial for memory and learning and creativity, can trigger nighttime wake-ups because blood sugar crashes can jolt you awake and fragment your rest. And whenever your sleep quality takes a hit, you wake up groggy and not recharged. You start your day in a reactive state. Instead of strategic thinking, you default to short-term decisions and you firefight everything. You overanalyze, you misread situations, you struggle to stay emotionally grounded. Your mental edge, the thing that sets you apart, is dulled. And this isn't just about how you feel, it's about how you perform. Consistently poor sleep leads to slower cognitive processing, reduced creativity, weakened emotional regulation, and poor decision making under pressure. And cutting sugar, especially in the evenings, is one of the simplest ways to help your body and brain recover. And when you get real sleep, you unlock the real leadership advantages. Better memory consolidation so that you retain what matters. Improved creative problem solving. You connect the dots others don't even see. Sharper strategic focus. You stay ahead and not just afloat. More emotional control. You lead from clarity and not chaos. When you're building a company in an uncertain world, that clarity isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. And it starts with how you fuel and recover. Sometimes the smartest leadership moves that you can make isn't in the boardroom, it's in the kitchen. Now I want to talk about energy management versus energy spikes. Now, as a founder or CEO, your day doesn't run in sprints. It's a marathon of high stakes decisions, deep work, team leadership, investor calls, and unexpected fires. You're not just trying to get through the next 30 minutes, you're trying to sustain performance across 10 to 14 hours every day. And that's why the traditional sugar for a boost approach falls totally flat. Yeah, sugar gives you a spike, but it is just that. It is a spike. It is a sharp burst of energy followed by an inevitable crash. And once you crash, what happens? You crave more. You reach for another cookie, another latte, another bar, and now you're trapped in this roller coaster of energy volatility. Fatigue, craving, more sugar, crash, repeat. It's not just inefficient, it is exhausting. And over time, it leads straight to burnout. Now imagine this instead. You start your morning with a balanced breakfast, low in sugar and high in protein, fiber, and healthy fats. Your blood sugar stays steady. You don't hit that mid-morning wall. You're not reaching for a second coffee at 10:30 just to stay alert. You feel calm, focused, and dialed in, not anxious, not reactive. That's not some biohack or fantasy, that's just biology. And it's also a leadership advantage. When your energy is steady, you show up different. You're more present in meetings, you listen more intently, you process information faster, you make clearer decisions, and you're more resilient whenever things go sideways. Cutting back on sugar helps flatten that energy curve. Instead of swinging between highs and lows, you operate from a calm, controlled baseline. You don't just survive your day, you own it. This isn't about eliminating pleasure or obsessing over macros. It's about making intentional choices that protect your energy and, by extension, your performance. Because in the long game of building a company, consistent energy beats temporary boosts every time. Now I want to talk about strong decision making. As a founder or CEO, your job revolves around high stakes decisions. You're constantly weighing trade-offs, navigating risk, and choosing between uncertain outcomes. And while we often credit instincts or experience or strategy for great decisions, there's another piece piece at play, which is brain fuel. Researcher Roy Baumeister and others have shown that low glucose levels directly impair self-control and decision-making. It's one of his most cited studies. Participants with lower glucose levels performed worse on tasks requiring willpower and restraint, while those who had replenished and even small glucose sources performed significantly better. Why? Because every time you exercise mental discipline, whether it's resisting a distraction or analyzing a complex decision or managing a tough situation, you are burning glucose. It's the energy your brain relies on to keep cool under pressure. And a high sugar diet doesn't solve that problem, it makes it worse. Refined sugar gives you that quick spike, but then it's followed by a crash that depletes your brain. And that's when bad decisions start creeping in. You react impulsively instead of thinking strategically. You postpone hard calls because you feel overwhelmed, and you default to what's comfortable and not what's right. And the cost of those decisions is burned cash and lost time and missed opportunities. Cutting back on sugar stabilizes your blood glucose and it protects your mental endurance so that you're not just making decisions, you are making them with intention and clarity. Now I want to talk about discipline, confidence, and better physical health, which equals strong leadership. Discipline builds confidence, not the loud external kind of confidence, but the quiet internal kind that says, I trust myself. Every time you make a conscious decision to cut back on sugar, even just by 20, 30, or 50%, you're reinforcing something powerful, your ability to follow through. You're telling yourself, I don't just set the goals, I honor them. That subtle shift in self-perception is a game changer for leadership. Founders and CEOs aren't just building companies, they're building systems, habits, and cultures. And that starts with the choices that you make whenever nobody's watching. When you practice discipline in one area, like nutrition, it starts to ripple into everything else. And then suddenly, you're holding stronger boundaries with your time and your energy. You're delegating instead of micromanaging. You're protecting deep work time. You're sticking to your calendar with precision. You're saying no to the noise so that you can say yes to the mission. Cutting sugar might seem like a minor lifestyle tweak, but it's much bigger than that. It's a daily physical reminder that you are in control. And with that control comes clarity. And on top of that, there's a very real physical benefit. Reducing sugar intake improves inflammation, energy regulation, and metabolic health. You sleep better, you recover faster, you move through your day with more strength and less drag. That means fewer days lost to mood swings or burnout, and more days where you're firing on all cylinders. Ultimately, this is not about being perfect. It's about stacking small wins that reinforce the identity of a leader that you want to be. Because when you start treating your body like an asset instead of an afterthought, you send a powerful message to yourself and to your team. It says, I protect the machine that builds the machine. And that is a leadership advantage that no investor can buy. Cutting sugar absolutely makes you a better founder and a better CEO, because how you feel is how you lead. Your energy, your clarity, your discipline, they all start with how you fuel your body. If you're serious about leveling up as a founder, not just building a company, but becoming the kind of leader people want to follow, this is the work. And if you're ready to keep pushing that edge, watch this video to learn the only millionaire blueprint that you need. It's all about dialing in your performance, sharpening your mindset, and leading from a place of clarity and conviction. Let's level up, and thanks for watching.